Hello, everyone. So I wanted to talk about this because it's very important, and of course, I was at a peace conference just a few days ago during the weekend in Belfast, and of course, we all know what happened last month, literally about a week ago at this stage, where a man from I think it was Sudan tried to behead a fellow on the streets of Belfast. Now, that sounds insane to many people, but it did happen. He tried to behead the fellow. He took his eye out, and of course, that fellow came into the country. He came all the way from Sudan to Paris to Dublin, took a bus from Dublin to Belfast. Of course, there's no border checkpoints between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and rightly so, because obviously everybody remembers the dark times during the Troubles, etc., where there was killing on all sides, was bombings and killing and kidnapping, terrible atrocities were committed on all sides. And of course, we all remember the British Army and the Irish Army being on the borders, etc., and checkpoints, etc. Everybody remembers that. We don't want to go back to that. But we do have to deal with, and there's many other things we talked about when we were there. I'll go into them later on, but particularly this issue because it has arisen because of this, and it has arisen in the Republic of Ireland too, where we have people coming from Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland to seek asylum through Belfast, basically Belfast Airport of the port, coming from the United Kingdom into Northern Ireland to come to the Republic of Ireland to seek asylum. Of course, the UN Charter and of course the European Charter says that you're supposed to seek asylum in the first country you landed. So basically, for that asylum seeker, take for example those for Sudan, he was supposed to go and seek asylum in France. He had no business coming to Ireland in the first place to seek asylum. Both in the Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland, he had no business to be there, and there's many like him, unfortunately. And the simple reality is too that it's a very very complex situation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say we can sort it in 5 minutes. It's a very very complex situation. It's a very fragile situation too, because any kind of movement to the extreme or to non-extreme etc. can cause trouble on every side. Really, it can. And we want to keep the peace. It's 28 years, excuse me, since the Good Friday Agreement, and we all want to keep the peace. And thankfully, that has hold that we don't see any bombings or killings happening in Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland. And we want to keep that. We want to keep that nobody be hurt or nobody be injured because it was all senseless, the troubles, etc. It was all senseless. People being killed on all sides and it benefited no one. At the end of the day, it benefited nobody. People died, loved ones lost their family, lost their mother, lost their father, lost their sister, lost their brother. And it was all, at the end of the day, it was all senseless violence for the sake of senseless violence. And that's pretty much what it was because there was no honour in war, there's no honour in anything. Just pain and suffering on all sides, and that's what it causes. But the simple truth is that there is problems, as I say, but people come from Northern Ireland to the Republic, but there's also problems, as in this case particularly, of him coming from Dublin to Belfast, and probably was never looked at a passport. So what we talked about too when we were up at the Peace Conference, because of course it was a thing we talked about, of course too. And of course, there needs to be discussed between both the Irish and British governments and, of course, the Northern Ireland Executive that there probably should be, well, not border checks, but away from the border, that they would get on buses, the Irish customs or Irish immigration members from God, random checks. They do it every once in a while on the near the border. They probably should get onto buses and have a look at people's ID before they travel to Northern Ireland at the bus station, say for example in Dublin, or the train going to Belfast from Dublin. I do think that the Irish customs should go on to look and see at who these people are before they go to Belfast and ask what's the business in going to Belfast. And same vice versa from Belfast, officials from the British immigration service should be going on the trains and buses and looking for people's IDs to see are they seeking why are they going to Dublin if they're in the United Kingdom as an asylum seeker. Why are they going to Dublin? What's the story? And the same with the other side too. It should be. And that's really the only way you can do it because nobody wants to see a hard border. And again, it's a very complex situation. It's all well and good. You need loads of manpower. You need loads of money to have them checks, etc. That's all been talked about. But it is important. It is important because it is being abused, the system, on both sides. And of course, I get the British government too, and the Northern Ireland Executive. And it's such a thing to say it's nationalist, but I do get it. That it's not fair that people are coming up through our country and abusing their system. It's not fair because they're abusing Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, first of all, but they're also abusing people of Northern Ireland, the British people. And it isn't fair on them either that they're using Ireland as a back door to get into the United Kingdom to seek benefits, etc., to seek other stuff in the United Kingdom. It isn't fair, and I would say the same. I would say the same for our case. It isn't fair that people abuse in Northern Ireland to come to the Republic of Ireland or the United Kingdom to abuse the Irish people here. And it does need to be addressed. And there's genuine people, but at the end of the day, Ireland and the United Kingdom are on the other side of the world compared to, say, for example, Greece and Portugal and Spain. As it says, you're supposed to seek asylum in the first European country, not turn up in Ireland or the United Kingdom. You get what I'm saying? And we have to stick by the rules. I know with the EU Migration Pact now being enforced in Ireland, it'll be probably a different story. But what I'm trying to say is, we do need to look at the border. It is a very complex situation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say we should have border checks. We should have the British Army, the Irish Army, in the border checking everybody's documents, bringing people out of their car, with gunfights, etc. We don't want to go back to that. I think everybody in both sides. I think we all agreed, both Catholic and Protestant and Unionist and Nationalist. I think we all agreed that we don't want that. And I think whatever we could disagree on United Ireland, we could disagree on anything else, but I think we all, regardless of our views, and I think that was the most unique thing about it, regardless if we were nationalist like myself or Catholic Protestant, we all agreed, I think, on the one common cause, that we don't want to see trouble, we want to see peace in our end, we want to keep the peace, and we don't want violence coming back, and we don't want a hard border. They're the things we agreed on, regardless of anything else in the world. We agreed on them values, and I think it's important that we do agree on them things, because it's so important that we all see eye to eye on them values, that we don't want trouble. We don't want to bring back the past, what happened in the past. We want to keep it in the past. Give us a future to look forward to, I suppose. So that's the thing too. But I would say to people too, of course, we need to have a discussion in the Republic of Ireland about it too, not just with civil servants and politicians like myself. But, it's important that the people do have a talk. But of course, it's important to have them discussions, to have them summits, and to have them open discussions where you can talk about these things. Because it is something that has to be worked out. It's not something that we have to let the people in Northern Ireland decide. There has to be consensus on both sides of the border for this kind of thing, because we do need something. We do need some kind of thing. I don't know what exactly. As I say, we could have it at Dublin Port, not Dublin Port, but Dublin bus hours, take for example, in Dublin, or the train station at Connolly, etc. That the Irish custom officials would be designated to look at the trains going to Northern Ireland, and the same up in Northern Ireland, they'd be checking Irish people going from Northern Ireland to Dublin, take for example, on the train. And I do think that, and of course I do think some more random checks, not on the border but near enough the border, I think would be pretty feasible too. And again, this was only one thing we talked about, was the main topic of discussion in a lot of cases. But it does need to be addressed, and I think everybody would agree on that after what we've seen in Belfast. Because it only takes 3 or 4 people to cause a lot of trouble, to kill or injured, in this case severely injure a man for the rest of his life, and we have to stop that. We have to stop that from happening, and we have to do everything, because it isn't fair too that the system was being abused too, and it isn't fair on the people of Northern Ireland, isn't fair on the people of the Republic of Ireland, isn't fair on anybody. It isn't, and that's what it is about, fairness. Because it's not fair that the system was abused in this case. But anyway, let me know what you think, because again, it is a very sensitive. I don't mean to emphasise this so much, but it is a really, really sensitive area. The border, Northern Irish and Ireland's border, it is a really, really sensitive area. It's a really complex situation that I could probably never explain to you in detail. As somebody that's from County Cavan, that lives on the border, it is a really, really complex situation. It takes a lot of understanding. But I'm glad that the summit went well. I will say that we had good discussions, and it's good that we can see eye and eye on very important issues like that. As I say, we can see or understand people's views on both sides, and we can come to some kind of consensus that something needs to be done. And I think that's a good thing too, that we all agree. Every side agrees that something needs to be done some way. But it's just about implementing. How do you do it? I suppose, because it is a big border. It's not a small border. We're talking about a huge amount of land, a huge amount of territory we're talking about along the border. It's nearly impossible to release at the best of times during the trouble. So it would be near enough impossible nowadays. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.